I want to give you a overview of how to change the permissions of a file or a directory, and this is accomplished using the chmod command. Chmod. So look at the man page there for that. Chmod, change file mode bits. And if you watched the earlier video, we know that there's an octal mode for permissions, and there's also symbolic mode for permissions. This man page has a great overview of symbolic versus octal notation. So I'll give you an example of both. Okay, so let's look here again. We've got car.txt. Well, let's just say chmod. Let's first start off with symbolic mode. So let's say user equals read write. And in fact, let's throw the execute bit there so you can see it. Group equals read, and other equals read write, just for fun. Car.txt. Now it says, you can't do this. Well, why couldn't I do it? Well, because actually I don't have permissions to do that. I'm not Charlie. I'm logged in as Joe right now. I'm not a member of the Cowboys group, or at least the Cowboys group doesn't have permissions to change the permissions. But Joe is a pseudo user, so he'll override everything. But the important part is I want to show you how to use the chmod command. So if we look at the car.txt again, you can see it was changed. It did give users read, write, and execute. It gave groups, it assigned them only read. So the equal sign says they have to be read permissions. And everyone else or others have to be given read, write permissions. You can see that it did actually change green, although you won't always see these color changes. The green is indicative of now it's an executable file, which is beyond the scope of the discussion today to say what that is. But let's look at the chmod command again. So now let's do chmod. Let's take away the group other, take away their write permissions on car.txt. So you can see now that I removed the W permission for others. Let's look at sudo chmod. Let's say groups, add them the write permission on car.txt. And you can see now I added the W permission for groups on car.txt. So that's a quick overview of symbolic notation. It's easy to understand, and you can have direct control over the permissions you're assigning to users, groups, and others. But a more concise representation can be given by using octal notation. Octal notation, if you recall in my earlier set of slides, 4 is equal to read, 2 is equal to write, 1 is equal to execute. So let's do this. Sudo chmod. For the group, I'm going to give them permission 6. Now, hang on, what's a 6? Well, 4 plus 2, or read plus write, is 6. So if I do 666, on car.txt, that is saying, remember, read is 4, write is 2, so together they're equal to 6. So if I now look at car.txt, you can see this is permission 666, or 4 plus 2, 4 plus 2, and 4 plus 2. So this first 6 is indicative of the user permissions, the next 6 is the group, the last 6 is everyone else. What about, let's try this, sudo chmod 000 on car.txt. What does that do? Well, that just took away all the permissions. There's none there. How about sudo chmod 400 on car.txt? That gives the user read permissions because I just said 4. Well, what about sudo chmod 640 on car.txt? Before we look at it, try to think about what it's going to do. The first number is representative of the user. So the user, what adds up to 6? Well, 4 and 2. 4 is read, 2 is write. So the user should have read write. The group should have a read, and everyone else should have no permissions at all. So if I do ls-l, that's indeed what we have. So you can use the symbolic notation or the octal notation, and the one I use most of all is the octal notation because it is much more concise and easy to do.